The soft hum of Orndi Stellaria was Elara's lullaby. It was the sound of 1,000 tiny systems working in perfect, tireless harmony, a constant, gentle thrum that vibrated through the floor plates and up into the soles of her bare feet. She lay on her cot, gazing up at the ceiling of her small cabin, where familiar constellations shimmered in faint projected light. It was her nightly ritual, a quiet communion with the distant, untouchable wonders of the cosmos. Her cabin was sparse, as all cabins on Orndi Stellaria were, designed for efficiency and long-haul travel. Yet, Elara had made it her own. A stack of data books, ancient stories, star charts, and fanciful tales of mythical creatures sat beside her cot. A single, smooth, gray moonrock, gifted by Nana, served as a paperweight for a hand-drawn map of her favorite nebulae. But the true heart of her room was the Starlight Keeper, a small, spherical device no bigger than her fist, which sat on a shelf above her head. It pulsed with a gentle, internal light, casting its ethereal patterns onto the ceiling. Tonight, the Starlight Keeper displayed the Lyra constellation, Vega sparkling brightest, a tiny diamond amidst a scattering of lesser jewels. Elara traced its outline with her finger, her hand hovering just inches from the cool durasteel. She imagined reaching through the ceiling, past the ship's hull, past the protective shields, and out into the vast, dark ocean where the real Vega burned. She yearned for it, for the true, raw brilliance of a star unmediated by optics or projections. Stellarian was a marvel of engineering, a self-sustaining world designed for generations of interstellar travel. It was a home, a school, a research facility, and a sanctuary, all rolled into a gargantuan, slow-drifting vessel. But for all its wonders, for all the breathtaking view screens that displayed swirling nebulae and distant galaxies, Elara often felt a pang of longing for something more. She knew Stellarium was designed to bring them closer to the stars, but sometimes she felt it kept them just as far away. A soft chime echoed from the cabin door, followed by a gentle knock. "Elara." "Starlight," a voice whispered, warm and familiar. "Come in, Nana," Elara replied, her voice barely a breath. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing Nana, a silhouette against the softly lit corridor beyond. Nana was the living embodiment of Stellaria's quiet wisdom. Her face was a tapestry of fine lines, each one a testament to years spent under artificial suns and distant starlight. Her silver hair, usually pulled back in a neat bun, was now slightly unbound, framing her kind eyes. She wore a simple sleep tunic, the same practical gray as Elara's, but on Nana it seemed to drape with an air of ancient elegance. Nana moved with a grace that belied her age, settling onto the edge of Elara's cot. The cot dipped slightly under her weight, a familiar comfort. She reached out, her hand warm and surprisingly smooth, to brush a stray strand of hair from Elara's forehead. "Still charting the heavens, little one?" Nana murmured, her eyes following Elara's gaze to the projected Lyra. Elara nodded, leaning into Nana's touch. "I was thinking about Vega. You said it's one of the brightest, and it's so far away." "Oh, Vega is a magnificent star," Nana agreed, her voice a soft melody. "A true beacon. But remember, brightness isn't just about the star itself. It's about how it calls to you." Elara shifted, propping herself up on her elbow. "Does Vega call to you, Nana?" Nana smiled, a faraway look in her eyes. "Vega called to my Nana, and her Nana before her. It has always been a guiding light for our family. A star that seemed to whisper secrets across the void." She paused, her gaze drifting over the cabin, as if seeing beyond the walls, into the deep space outside. "But the stars, Elara, they aren't just points of light. They are stories, they are origins, they are the dust from which we are made, and the destinations we seek." Elara loved Nana's stories, especially the ones about the stars. Nana had a way of painting pictures with words, making the cold, distant realities of space feel warm and alive. "Tell me about the real stars again, Nana," Elara pleaded, her eyes wide. "Not the ones on the view screens, or even the ones the Starlight Keeper shows. The true stars." Nana chuckled softly, a sound like dry leaves rustling. "The true stars. They are something else entirely. Imagine an Elara, standing on the observation deck of an old pre-drift starship, long before Fifth Stellarii was even a dream. No filters, no atmospheric interference, just the raw, glittering canvas of the galaxy. It's not just points of light, little one. It's an ocean of diamonds scattered across black velvet. Some are fierce, burning white. Elara hugged her knees to her chest, captivated. Like the stellar nursery? Nana's smile widened. Precisely like the stellar nursery. That's where the Stellarii is heading, you know. Or rather, that's where our journey began, and where it will eventually conclude. It is the heart of our mission, the reason our ancestors built this magnificent vessel. Elarion had been on its journey for generations, a slow, deliberate drift through the uncharted expanse between the old solar systems and the distant, fabled stellar nursery. Elara knew the basic history: a dwindling Earth, a desperate need for new energy sources, a scientific hypothesis that the stellar nursery held the key to unlocking a stable, perpetual power source, perhaps even the secret to manipulating space-time itself. The journey was long, a multi-generational commitment, and most of why the Stellaria's current inhabitants had never known any other home. But why can't we see them like that, Nana? Elara asked, a familiar frustration creeping into her voice. Why do the view screens always have that shimmer? That slight blur? And why can't we just open a window and look out? Nana sighed, a soft, weary sound. Ah, the practicalities of deep space, my starlight. Why, the Stellaria is a home, a shielded bubble of life. Our view screens have filters to protect our eyes from the sheer intensity of deep space radiation. And opening a window, well, that would be rather difficult, wouldn't it? The void out there is not just beautiful, it's also incredibly harsh. And well, the Stellaria itself generates... But you've seen them, haven't you? Elara pressed, her voice urgent. The true stars? Before the filters, before the fields? Nana's gaze grew distant again, lost in memories. I have, Elara. Not in person, not with my own naked eye through an open window. No one has since the early days of the drift. But I have seen them. Through old, forbidden instruments. Through ancient data streams. Through the eyes of those who came before us. And I carry them here. She tapped her chest gently, over her heart. In my memories and in the stories I tell you. Elara knew about the forbidden instruments. But the Stellaria was a ship of science, meticulously maintained and regulated. Every piece of technology had a purpose, every system was catalogued. But Nana hinted at forgotten relics, devices from the early days of the drift, perhaps even from Earth itself, that held different kinds of knowledge, different ways of seeing. One day, Elara declared, her chin set with youthful determination, I'm going to see them for myself. I'm going to find a way to look past all the screens and filters and fields. I'm going to touch the stardust. Nana chuckled, a warm, approving sound. That's my girl. And perhaps you will. Perhaps that is why our family has always been here. Always been drawn to the heart of Guy the Stellarier's mission. She paused, a thoughtful glint in her eyes. There's something I want to show you tonight, Starlight. Something that might help you on your quest. She reached into the pocket of her sleep tunic, producing a small, intricately crafted device. It was unlike anything Elara had ever seen. Most of the Stellarian's technology was sleek, minimalist, made of gleaming alloys and smooth composites. This device, however, was clearly ancient. It was a sphere, about the size of a large marble, but it wasn't perfectly smooth. Its surface was a mosaic of what looked like tiny polished pieces of obsidian, interwoven with delicate, almost glowing threads that pulsed with a faint internal light. It felt warm, even from a distance, radiating a gentle energy. What is it, Nana? Elara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. This, Nana said, holding it out, allowing the faint light to play across Elara's mesmerized face, is an etheric luminoscope. It belonged to my Nana's Nana, and to her Nana before her, all the way back to the very first explorers of the drifting stars. It's not just a projector, Elara. It is a key, a way of seeing beyond the veil. Elara carefully took the luminoscope. It was surprisingly light, yet solid, resting in her palm like a warm, living thing. The tiny glowing threads pulsed rhythmically, mirroring the beat of her own heart. She felt an immediate, inexplicable connection to it. How does it work? She asked, her voice barely audible. Nana took Ilara's hand, guiding her fingers over the luminoscope surface. It senses. It resonates. It doesn't just, I project images of stars, Ilara. It connects to the actual stellar frequencies, interpreting them in a way our eyes can understand, even across vast distances, and through the ship's defenses. With a gentle press of Nana's thumb on a barely perceptible seam, the luminoscope sprang to life. A single focused beam of pure, shimmering starlight erupted from its top, not bright enough to hurt their eyes, but incredibly vivid. Nana directed the beam towards the ceiling, overlaying the Starlight Keeper's familiar constellations. But what the luminoscope projected was entirely different. Instead of the flat, familiar points of light, the ceiling transformed into a breathtaking, three-dimensional tapestry of the cosmos. The stars weren't just dots. They were tiny, swirling vortices of light, each one a miniature sun, some burning with fierce intensity, others with a softer, more ancient glow. And between them, the darkness wasn't empty. It was filled with faint, gossamer filaments of energy, like spider's silk strung between distant lamps, connecting each star to the next. It was as if the luminoscope was showing the invisible web that held the galaxy together, the energetic pathways that bound the universe. Ilara gasped, her breath catching in her throat. This was it. This was what Nana had been talking about. The Etrung stars. The filaments, Ilara whispered, reaching out a trembling finger, trying to trace the glowing threads on the ceiling. What are they? They are the currents of the ether starlight, Nana explained, her voice hushed with reverence. The pathways of cosmic energy. Some call them star roads, others the weave of the universe. They are how the stars truly communicate, how their energies flow, and how, in the ancient times, our ancestors believed knowledge was passed from one celestial body to another. Nana gently guided Ilara's hand, moving the luminoscope around the cabin. As they panned across the projected cosmos, the familiar Lyra constellation resolved into something far more complex, a nexus of these glowing filaments, Vega at its heart, radiating connections to dozens of other, unseen stars. See? Nana said, her voice soft. It's not just about seeing the stars, it's about understanding their conversation, their silent symphony across the void. Ilara's heart pounded with a mixture of awe and childlike glee. This was more than she had ever dreamed. She felt as though she was truly ying the stars, enveloped by their ancient light. She giggled, a pure, unadulterated sound of joy. Nana smiled, a deep, contented smile. This device, Ilara, it was not just for seeing. It was for listening, for finding what is hidden, for charting the unknown. For generations our family has used it to follow the whisper of the stars, to guide Ith Stellariae on its long journey. As Nana spoke, her fingers still resting gently on Ilara's, a tiny, almost imperceptible shimmer appeared on the projected stellar map. It wasn't a star, nor was it one of the etheric filaments. It was a small pulsing point of light, no bigger than a pinprick, nestled deep within a swirling nebula that was otherwise uncharted. It pulsed with a faint iridescent glow, unlike any other light on the map. Ilara pointed, her voice a whisper again. Nana, what's that? Nana's smile slowly faded. Her eyes, which had been warm and playful, narrowed, focusing intently on the shimmering anomaly. A subtle tension entered her posture, a stillness that Ilara recognized as Nana's thinking state. That, Nana began, her voice barely audible, a note of wonder and something else, a flicker of apprehension, entering her tone. That is new. Or perhaps rediscovered. She moved her thumb, adjusting the luminoscope's focus, zooming in on the anomaly. The shimmering point grew slightly larger, its iridescent pulse becoming more defined, like a tiny living heart beating in the depths of space. It was undeniably distinct from the surrounding stars and etheric threads. It seemed to Iskali to them, a silent, insistent beacon. It's not on any of the standard stellar charts, Nana murmured, her gaze fixed on the projection. Not even the ancient ones stored in Ite Stellariae's main archives. My Nana spoke of such things, of ghost lights that sometimes appeared in the deepest void, signals from places beyond our understanding, but we never knew how to find them, or how to interpret them. Elara felt a thrill, a prickle of excitement, and a touch of fear. What does it mean, Nana? Nana was silent for a long moment, her brow furrowed in concentration. She seemed to be listening not to Elara, but to the silent hum of the luminoscope, to the faint, ethereal whisper of the projected anomaly. It means starlight, Nana finally said, her voice quiet but firm, that the stars are still full of secrets, and sometimes those secrets find a way to call to us. This luminoscope, it was meant to find such calls. It was part of a larger purpose, a forgotten quest that our family has been guarding, waiting for it to awaken. She looked at Elara, her eyes shining with a profound mixture of solemnity and hope. The Stella Nursery, where Wyeth the stellary eyes slowly drifting towards. It is more than just a place of creation. It is a place of revelation. And I believe this little ghost light, this shimmer, is guiding us towards something truly extraordinary. Something that has been hidden for generations. Nana gently took Elara's hand, placing the luminoscope directly into her palm. The small warm sphere nestled there, its faint internal glow seeming to pulse in sync with the distant anomaly on the ceiling. "Keep it safe, Elara," Nana said, her voice imbued with a quiet urgency. "And keep looking, keep listening. The stars whisper to those who are willing to hear. And I have a feeling, little starlight, that this whisper is just the beginning of our family's next story." Elara clutched the luminoscope, its warmth spreading through her hand, up her arm, and into her heart. The shimmering point on the ceiling seemed to pulse just for her, a silent invitation. She felt a profound sense of destiny, a stirring of purpose she had never known before. Nana leaned down, kissing Elara's forehead. "Sleep now, my starlight. Dream of the ghost lights and the secrets they hold. Tomorrow, we will begin to understand." As Nana stood and quietly left the cabin, the door hissing shut behind her, Elara lay back down. The luminoscope, still clutched in her hand, continued to project its wondrous, three-dimensional cosmos onto her ceiling. The Starlight Keeper's familiar constellations were utterly eclipsed by the vibrant living tapestry of Nana's ancient device. And amidst it all, the tiny, iridescent shimmer pulsed, a silent, beckoning promise. Elara closed her eyes, the warmth of the luminoscope a comforting presence against her skin. She imagined the shimmering point was calling to her, a faint melody across the vast, silent sea of space. She drifted into sleep, dreaming not of familiar stars, but of a hidden light, a forgotten path, and the incredible, uncharted journey that lay ahead. And in her dreams, she could almost feel the cool, soft touch of stardust on her fingertips. The cool, soft touch of stardust lingered on Elara's fingertips even as her eyelids fluttered open, chasing away the remnants of her dream. Morning light, filtered through the thick, reinforced viewport of her habitat module, painted the room in hues of soft blue and silver. The luminoscope, nestled on her bedside table, pulsed with a gentle, reassuring thrum, its central crystal still holding a faint residual glow from the night's focused energy. It wasn't the vibrant, beckoning shimmer of her dream, but a quiet, steady warmth that seemed to echo the silent promise. She sat up, pushing aside the bioluminescent quilt, her mind still replaying the ethereal melody of the hidden light. It felt so real, so gorgent. Reaching for the luminoscope, she pressed her thumb against its smooth casing. A holographic interface bloomed above it, displaying the precise celestial coordinates it had locked onto before she drifted off. She recognized the familiar constellations that framed the general area. The spiral arm of their galaxy was a well-charted region. But the specific point, the G Hardy of the shimmer, was blank on any known star chart she'd ever seen. A tiny, uncharted void, nestled amongst the well-trodden paths of interstellar commerce and exploration. "Aura," she murmured, her voice still thick with sleep. A gentle, melodious chime resonated from the wall panel. "Good morning, Elara. Dream analysis indicates heightened neural activity related to exploration and discovery. Your heart rate variability also suggests excitement." Elara smiled. Aura, her habitat's integrated AI, was designed to be more than just a smart home system. She was a companion, a guardian, and an encyclopedic database rolled into one. It was more than just a dream aura, the luminoscope. It found something. She projected the coordinates from the luminoscope onto the wall, overlaying them onto a galactic map. Dios. Z? Right here. Nothing. Aura's voice took on a slightly more analytical tone. Indeed. Cross-referencing current astronomical databases, this region is classified as unremarkable background radiation or empty space depending on the resolution of the survey. There are no known stellar bodies, nebulae, or planetary systems designated at these precise coordinates. But the luminoscope locked onto IAE's something, and it felt like a call. Elara traced the holographic point with her finger. A hidden light. A forgotten path. Her parents, Professor Eris and Dr. Lena Vance, were often engrossed in their own research projects at the orbital science station where they live. Eris, a xenobotanist, dedicated his life to cataloging alien flora, while Lena, an astromineralogist, specialized in exotic crystal formations found in deep space. They encouraged Elara's curiosity, but her recent fascination with ancient navigational lore and whispers of the void was often met with indulgent smiles and reminders to focus on her academy studies. She found her father in the station's communal hydroponics lab, meticulously pruning a cluster of glowing bioluminescent moss. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and something subtly sweet, like alien honey. Dad? Iris looked up, his brow furrowed in concentration. His hands, usually steady and precise, were stained with nutrient solution. Elara! Just in time. This Ulumiflora stellaris is proving quite temperamental. Its photosynthetic cycle is incredibly sensitive to atmospheric pressure fluctuations. Dad, I think I found something with the luminoscope. She showed him the coordinates on her personal datapad. A completely uncharted point in the Orion Arm. No known stars, no nebulae, nothing. Eris squinted at the display, then chuckled softly. Ah, the old luminoscope. A fascinating antique, my dear. Its sensitivity is legendary, but sometimes it picks up residual energy signatures from old stellar events, or even stray quantum fluctuations. It's more of an artistic instrument, really, for connecting with the spirit of the cosmos, as your grandmother used to say. Elara's grandmother, a reclusive but brilliant astrogator, had passed down the luminoscope. She had always spoken of the cosmos as a living entity, full of hidden pathways and sentient light. But this felt different, Elara insisted, her voice earnest. It felt like a beacon, like it was calling. Iris ruffled her hair. Perhaps it was just a particularly vivid dream, sweetie. The mind can weave incredible tapestries when it's at rest. Focus on your upcoming astrophysics exam, all right? That's where the Eli stars are. Undeterred, Elara sought out her mother, who was analyzing a newly discovered crystalline formation in the mineralogy lab. Lena Vance, with her sharp mind and even sharper eyes, was always more pragmatic than Iris. Mom, look at this, Elara began, showing her the coordinates again. The luminoscope locked onto this point last night. Aura confirms it's completely uncharted. Lena peered at the display, her expression unreadable. She ran a diagnostic scan on the coordinates using the lab's advanced astrometric arrays. Moments later, a holographic readout appeared. Aura's right. Nothing. No discernible energy signature, no gravitational anomalies, no light spectrum readings. It's a true void as far as our instruments can tell. She tapped her chin. Could be a sensor ghost or perhaps a localized quantum fluctuation, as your father suggested. The luminoscope is designed for sensing things beyond conventional parameters, isn't it? It's not exactly a precision instrument for astrometric mapping. But what if it weighs something? Elara pressed, her voice a little softer now, tinged with a hint of desperation. What if it's something truly hidden, something that IIA can't be detected by conventional means, but the luminoscope, because it's so sensitive, can perceive it? Lena looked at her daughter, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. She knew Elara's deep love for exploration, her grandmother's legacy of cosmic wonder. It's a beautiful thought, Elara, and I admire your spirit. But venturing into uncharted space without any preliminary data is irresponsible, and frankly, dangerous. We don't have the resources to launch an exploratory mission based on a feeling and an antique scope. Ilara's shoulders slumped. She knew her parents were right, from a scientific and safety perspective. But the feeling, the call, was so strong. It wasn't just a dream. It was a deep-seated conviction that vibrated in her very bones. That night, Ilara couldn't sleep. The luminous scope pulsed gently on her table, a silent, persistent echo of her dream. Her parents' logical explanations, their pragmatic warnings, warred with the insistent tug in her heart. She stared at the galactic map projected on her wall, the tiny unmarked point glowing almost imperceptibly amidst the familiar swirl of stars. Uncharted. Yeah, Anitsan Wayand, Winamiyat Estai Amedizam Danibin Salt, Adada Hal. Nga forgotten Shanides Sig, Hoiset Gunachego Spana and Via Bae. A's words resonated with a powerful allure. Her grandmother had always said, "The greatest discoveries lie not where the maps end, but where they haven't even begun." Suddenly a thought sparked. Her grandmother's personal shuttle, the Stardust Whisper, was stored in one of the station's unused hangars. It was an older model, a relic from a different era of exploration, but lovingly maintained. Her grandmother had bequeathed it to Ilara, along with the luminoscope, with the understanding that it would be used for journeys of the heart. It had advanced stealth capabilities, designed to pass through surveyed space unnoticed, and a modified quantum slip drive that, while not the fastest, was incredibly efficient and capable of long-range jumps. It was also equipped with a highly sophisticated AI core, far more advanced than her habitat's aura. "Aura?" Ilara whispered. "Can you access the Stardust Whisper's maintenance logs?" "Accessing," Aura replied instantly. "The vessel has undergone its biennial systems check last month. All primary and secondary systems are nominal. Fuel cells are at 98% capacity. Its stealth array is fully operational. Its quantum slip drive is calibrated for independent long-range travel." Ilara's heart hammered against her ribs. It was ready. It was waiting. "Aura, can you transfer your core programming to the Stardust Whisper's central AI?" "Affirmative. My current core is compatible with the Whisper's more robust AI architecture. Initiating transfer will require minimal downtime for this module, approximately 4.7 seconds. Shall I proceed?" "Yes, please," Ilara breathed, a tremor of excitement running through her. Aura would be her co-pilot, her guide, her companion. The next morning, while her parents were engrossed in their respective labs, Ilara made her way to Hangar Bay 7. The Stardust Whisper gleamed under the soft hangar lights, its sleek, teardrop-shaped hull a testament to its elegant design. It wasn't large, barely big enough for two, but it exuded an aura of quiet capability. Its exterior was a polished, deep indigo, speckled with tiny phosphorescent flecks that mimicked distant stars, a deliberate aesthetic choice by her grandmother. As Ilara approached the boarding ramp, it silently extended. Inside, the cockpit was surprisingly spacious, filled with comfortable, ergonomic seats and holographic displays. The air was clean, faintly scented with ozone. A soft, melodic chime greeted her. "Welcome aboard, Ilara. Aura's core systems fully integrated. All ship systems responsive and ready for command." The voice, now emanating from the ship's comms, was Aura's, but with a richer, more resonant quality, as if the larger AI core had given her more depth. "Hello, Aura," Ilara said, settling into the pilot's chair, her fingers tracing the smooth contours of the controls. "It's good to be here." "Indeed. Your neural patterns indicate a high level of anticipation, combined with a trace of apprehension. May I inquire as to our destination, Captain?" Aura asked. The captain a gentle, encouraging touch. Ilara projected the luminoscope's coordinates onto the main nav screen. "Here, Aura, the hidden light, we're going to find it." Aura processed the data. Acknowledged. Calculating optimal jump trajectory. Due to the uncharted nature of the destination and the absence of established hyperspace lanes, this will be a unique navigation challenge. Estimated travel time to the destination at maximum safe quantum slip velocity at approximately 7.3 standard days. 7 days, Ilara mused, a thrill running through her. It felt like an eternity, and yet no time at all. She spent the next few hours meticulously checking the Whisper's systems, loading provisions and double-checking navigation protocols with Aura.di. She left a short, heartfelt message for her parents, explaining that she needed to follow her heart, that she would be safe, and that she would return. It wasn't an easy decision, but the pull of the unknown was too strong to ignore. The station hummed with its usual nocturnal rhythm, unaware of the quiet departure unfolding in Hangar Bay 7. Elara, strapped into the pilot's seat, took a deep breath. Her hand hovered over the launch sequence button. All systems green, Elara, Aura confirmed. Hangar Bay clearance granted for scheduled diagnostic flight. Aura had cleverly masked their true intentions with a pre-filed flight plan. Engaging thrusters, Elara announced, her voice steady despite the tremor in her stomach. A low rumble vibrated through the deck. The Stardust Whisper lifted smoothly from its berth, a silent dark arrow against the backdrop of the station's interior. As they exited the hangar and moved into open space, the vast star-dusted canvas of the galaxy unfolded before them. Her home station, a glittering jewel of light and life, slowly receded behind them. A pang of longing, a whisper of doubt, momentarily flickered through her, but the anticipation of discovery quickly pushed it aside. Setting course for quantum slip jump point, Aura announced. Initiating drive spool up. A soft, building hum filled the cockpit, a deep resonance that vibrated through Elara's very bones. The stars outside the viewport began to stretch, elongating into shimmering streaks of light. The familiar celestial sphere distorted, twisting and bending as reality itself seemed to flex around the ship. Quantum slip drive engaging in T-10, Aura counted down. 9, 8, 7. Elara gripped the controls, her eyes fixed on the spectacle outside. 3, 2, 1. Jump! With a silent, instantaneous lurch that was more a feeling than a physical sensation, the Stardust Whisper leaped. The stars vanished, replaced by an impossibly vibrant swirling tunnel of pure light and color. It was like diving into an ocean made of aurora borealis, every hue imaginable exploding and cascading around them. Blues so deep they felt ancient. Purples that pulsed with quiet power. Greens that shimmered like cosmic silk. And golds that blazed with the intensity of 1,000 suns. Streaks of pure white energy zipped past, leaving ephemeral trails like comets in a dream. This was hyperspace, the quantum slip realm, a breathtaking shortcut through the fabric of space-time. It was always a stunning experience, but this time, knowing where they were going, it felt particularly poignant, a bridge to the utterly unknown. Elara leaned back, letting the visual symphony wash over her, her apprehension dissolving into pure wonder. Maintaining optimal velocity and trajectory, Aura's calm voice cut through the visual splendor. Energy consumption nominal. All systems functioning within parameters. It's incredible, Aura, Elara murmured, barely audible above the silent roar of the quantum slip. Indeed. While scientifically understood as a compression of spatial dimensions, the aesthetic experience remains unparalleled, Aura responded, a hint of something akin to appreciation in her modulated tones. Many poets have attempted to capture its essence, though none have truly succeeded. Elara spent hours simply watching, her mind soaring with possibilities. She thought of her grandmother, who had navigated these pathways countless times, always seeking the unseen, the unheard. Was this the kind of journey she had envisioned for Elara? A quest not for scientific data alone, but for a deeper connection with the universe? After what felt like an eternity of swirling light, Aura announced, exiting quantum slip in T-30 seconds. The colors began to coalesce, the streaks shortening, the vibrant tunnel slowly dissolving. With a final gentle shimmer, the Stardust Whisper re-entered normal space. Elara blinked, adjusting to the sudden return of familiar, albeit alien, starlight. They weren't in the dense star fields of the Orion Arm anymore. Before them lay a vast inky expanse, far darker than any space she had ever seen. The stars here were sparse, distant pinpricks of light, and the overall impression was one of profound, ancient silence. Current position verified, Aura reported. Approximately 0.5 light-years from the luminoscope's designated coordinates. Scanners indicate unusual readings. Elara leaned forward, her eyes scanning the main view screen. Unusual how, aura. Gravimetric fluctuations. Energy signatures that do not conform to known stellar or nebular classifications. And a peculiar localized field of what appears to be exotic matter, forming a kind of veil. Indeed, as they drew closer, Elara could make out a faint, shimmering haze in the distance, barely discernible against the dark backdrop. It wasn't a nebula in the traditional sense, no vibrant colors, no swirling gases. Instead, it was a translucent, almost ethereal cloud, like a sheet of fine cosmic lace draped across the void. Within its depths, the distant stars seemed to shimmer and distort, as if viewed through rippling water. "This must be why it's uncharted," Elara whispered. "It's hidden behind this veil." "It would certainly obscure conventional long-range scans," Aura confirmed. "Our stealth system should allow us to approach undetected, but navigating through this veil will require extreme caution. The exotic matter seems to be creating localized space-time distortions." "Can you plot a safe course?" "I am attempting to calculate optimal pathways, but the distortions are dynamic. It will require manual piloting and constant micro-adjustments." Elara nodded, her hands instinctively tightening on the controls. This was it. The real challenge. As they entered the shimmering veil, the Stardust Whisper seemed to glide into another dimension. The ship's exterior sensors relayed strange, echoing patterns onto the cockpit displays. The exotic matter seemed to hum around them, a low, resonant frequency that Elara could almost feel in her teeth. The stars outside became even more distorted, their light bending into ghostly arcs and spirals. It was beautiful, but also unsettling. "Energy fluctuations increasing," Aura warned. "Maintain steady vector, Elara. Any sudden movements could destabilize the spatial integrity around us." Elara focused, her eyes darting between the external view and Aura's intricate navigation overlays. She nudged the thrusters, correcting for a sudden lurch as a pocket of distorted space tried to pull them off course. Her senses were heightened, every nerve ending alive to the subtle shifts and pressures around the ship. It was like flying through an invisible, turbulent ocean, relying solely on intuition and the precise feedback from Aura. Hours crawled by. The journey through the veil was a test of skill and endurance. Elara's muscles ached, but her mind remained sharp, fueled by the insistent curiosity that had brought her here. She saw glimpses of things she couldn't explain, fleeting shadows that moved with impossible speed, whispers of light that seemed to pulse with their own will, all swallowed almost immediately by the shimmering exotic matter. Was this veil a natural phenomenon, a cosmic anomaly? Or was it something else, something designed to protect what lay beyond? Finally, after what felt like an age, Aura's voice broke through the intense concentration. "We are approaching the inner boundary of the veil, Elara. The source of the luminoscope's signal is directly ahead. Readings indicate a massive, structured object." Elara gasped, her eyes widening. The shimmering veil thinned before them, peeling back like a cosmic curtain. And there, bathed in an impossibly soft, ethereal light, it hovered. It was unlike anything Elara had ever seen, or even imagined. Not a planet, not a star, not a conventional space station. It was a colossal, intricate structure, vast beyond comprehension, made entirely of what appeared to be crystalline formations. It pulsed with the same iridescent shimmer she had seen in the luminoscope, a silent, beckoning promise made manifest. The structure was shaped like an enormous, multi-petaled flower, its crystalline petals unfurling gently into the void. Each petal was composed of countless smaller, interconnected crystals, ranging in size from tiny dust motes to massive spire-like formations that reached for unseen heights. They glowed with an internal light, shifting in color from deep indigo to soft lavender, then to a brilliant, almost blinding silver, before cycling back again. This constant, gentle ebb and flow of light gave the entire structure the appearance of a living, breathing entity, a stellar bloom, as Elara instantly christened it in her mind. The light it emitted wasn't harsh or blinding, but soft, pervasive, and strangely comforting. It bathed the Stardust Whisper in its gentle glow, making the ship's indigo hull shimmer with newfound colors. There was no discernible engine hum, no visible power source, yet the entire structure held itself in perfect, serene equilibrium, slowly rotating with an almost imperceptible grace. "Unbelievable," Elara breathed, her voice filled with awe. "It's It's beautiful. Indeed, Aura confirmed, her modulated tones conveying a rare sense of wonder. Our long-range scans are now yielding more detailed data. The structure is composed of a previously unknown crystalline lattice, exhibiting properties of extreme durability and energy resonance. It appears to be self-sustaining, drawing energy directly from localized quantum fluctuations within the surrounding space. The petals are constantly reconfiguring at a molecular level, indicating a complex, dynamic system. Is it artificial or natural? Elara wondered aloud, her mind reeling. That is currently indeterminate, Aura replied. Its structural complexity suggests intelligent design, yet its organic growth patterns and energy sourcing are consistent with highly evolved natural phenomena. It defies simple categorization. Elara carefully guided the Stardust Whisper closer, her hands light on the controls. The sheer scale of the stellar bloom was overwhelming. She could see vast open pathways between the crystalline petals, intricate arches and spires forming natural-looking corridors. Some areas pulsed with a more intense light, suggesting concentrated energy nodes, while others were veiled in a soft internal luminescence. As they drew nearer, she noticed something else. Embedded within the crystalline structure, almost seamlessly integrated, were smaller, darker points, openings perhaps, or access points. They were not glowing but seemed to absorb light, creating stark contrasts against the shimmering crystal. Aura, can you scan for any signs of life? Or previous inhabitants? Scanning now, Aura responded. Initial scans detect no biological lifeforms within the immediate vicinity. However, there are faint residual energy signatures that suggest sophisticated technological activity at various points within the structure, dating back cycles, perhaps millennia, and a subtle resonant frequency, a harmonic vibration, emanating from the bloom itself. It's almost musical. Elara felt a shiver run down her spine, not of fear, but of profound excitement. A musical vibration? Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. A faint melody across the vast, silent sea of spatian. Was this the melody? She steered the Whisper towards one of the darker openings, a grand archway formed by two intertwining crystal spires. The luminoscope, resting on the console, began to pulse more intensely, its iridescent shimmer mirroring the light of the stellar bloom. It was as if it recognized its destination, its purpose. The luminoscope is reacting strongly, Elara observed, her voice barely a whisper. Confirmed. Its resonance frequency is in perfect alignment with the bloom's harmonic vibrations, Aura stated. It seems your intuition and your grandmother's instrument were correct, Elara. This place, it truly is a hidden light. They glided through the archway, the Stardust Whisper dwarfed by the immense crystalline walls that towered on either side. Inside, the light was even softer, creating long dancing shadows that played across the polished crystal surfaces. The air, if there was air, felt incredibly still, charged with an ancient palpable energy. The silence was profound, broken only by the gentle hum of the Whisper's systems and the faint, almost imperceptible musical resonance that Aura had detected. The corridor opened into a vast spherical chamber, its walls a mosaic of shimmering crystals that refracted the light into a dizzying display of color. In the center of the chamber, suspended effortlessly, was a single, perfect sphere of pure light. It pulsed gently, expanding and contracting like a slow, cosmic heartbeat. It wasn't blinding, but rather held a deep, incandescent warmth. What is that, Aura? Elara whispered, utterly captivated. Unknown, Elara. It appears to be a highly concentrated energy source, but unlike any we have catalogued, its composition is pure photonic energy, contained within a stable, resonant field. It is the heart of the stellar bloom. As Elara watched, mesmerized, tiny motes of light began to detach from the central sphere, drifting outwards like luminous seeds. They danced in the silent chamber, swirling in intricate patterns before gently settling onto the crystalline walls, where they seemed to merge, becoming one with the structure, adding to its inner glow. It was a process of endless creation, a silent, perpetual cycle of light and energy. Elara felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over her, a feeling of being exactly where she was meant to be. This wasn't just a discovery, it was an encounter with something profoundly alive, something that transcended conventional understanding. The hidden light wasn't just a beacon. It was a source. A generative heart, a silent symphony of cosmic existence. She had found it. But what was its purpose? And what ancient secrets did it hold within its crystalline embrace? The journey had just begun. The light pulsed, not with a harsh, blinding intensity, but with a soft, inviting rhythm, like a cosmic heartbeat. Ilara reached out a tentative hand, not quite touching the shimmering surface, but feeling its warmth permeate her skin. It wasn't heat, but an energetic embrace, a vibration that resonated deep within her bones, a song she felt rather than heard. As her fingers hovered inches from the crystalline sphere, a cascade of images, feelings, and pure knowledge flooded her mind. It wasn't a sudden, overwhelming torrent, but a gentle, guided flow, like water finding its way through a vast, intricate channel. She saw nebulae swirling into existence, stars igniting with fiery passion, planets coalescing from cosmic dust. She witnessed the first stirrings of life on countless worlds, microscopic beings evolving into complex organisms, forests reaching for alien suns, oceans teeming with bioluminescent creatures. This wasn't just data, it was experience. She felt the joy of a newborn star, the ancient wisdom of a primordial forest, the deep sorrow of a dying world. It was a universal tapestry, woven with threads of creation, destruction, and an endless cycle of renewal. The light wasn't merely a record keeper, it was a living chronicle, a nexus point for the collective memory of the cosmos. You have found me, a thought echoed in her mind, not in words, but in pure crystalline understanding. It was the voice of the light itself, ancient and infinite, yet profoundly gentle. You were meant to. Ilara's breath hitched. What are you? She projected, her own thoughts feeling small and inadequate against the vastness she was experiencing. I am the chronolumen core. The presence resonated. The heart of harmony. I am the generative pulse that maintains the resonance of this sector, preventing the slow drift into cosmic dissonance, ensuring the flow of life and memory across the vastness. I am a repository, a beacon, a realigner. The scale of it was staggering. Ilara had expected an artifact, perhaps a lost technology, but not a sentient living engine of cosmic balance. But why hidden? Why here? My purpose is cyclical, the core explained, the images in her mind shifting to show intricate cosmic alignments, celestial bodies moving in grand, sweeping dances. Every epoch, as the fabric of time-space thins and frays under the constant expansion and interaction, I must be activated to reweave the threads, to retune the universal symphony. I am hidden because my activation requires a specific confluence, not just of stars, but of spirit. A consciousness attuned to wonder, free from the burdens of ambition, seeking only understanding. Ilara felt a thrill, cold and electric, run through her. Me? You mean I'm supposed to activate you? Yes, Ilara of Earth, the core affirmed, its light shimmering brighter, casting intricate patterns on the cave walls. Your journey, your innate curiosity, your persistent search for the more beyond the known, has brought you here at the precise moment of need. The cosmic alignment is imminent. The dissonance is growing. If the heart of harmony is not retuned, the threads will unravel further, leading to pockets of existential decay, a gradual fading of memory, and ultimately a sector-wide stagnation of life. The weight of its words settled upon her. This wasn't just a discovery, it was a cosmic imperative. She wasn't just an explorer, she was a vital link in a chain of universal sustenance. The realization was both terrifying and exhilarating. How? She asked, her voice barely a whisper, though the core heard her perfectly. How do I activate you? What do I do? The core projected an image, not of complex machinery or arcane rituals, but of Ilara herself, standing before it, eyes closed, hands gently touching its surface. Around her, streams of light flowed, connecting her to the core, and from the core, outward, bathing the entire sector in a wave of harmonious energy. You are the conduit, the core communicated. You must open yourself entirely. Allow the flow of universal memory to pass through you, to be filtered by your pure intent. And then, with conscious will, project that harmony back into me. It is a resonance, a feedback loop. Your consciousness will act as the key, the amplifier, the guiding hand. Elara looked at her hands, then back at the pulsing core. It seemed so simple, yet impossibly profound. To be an amplifier for the universe itself. She had spent her life reaching for the stars, seeking connection, and now the stars were reaching back, asking her to be the connection. What if I fail? The question was out before she could stop it, a tremor of human doubt amidst the cosmic grandeur. There is no failure, only a delay, the core replied with infinite patience. But the longer the delay, the greater the dissonance, the deeper the wounds to the fabric of existence. The energy required for a later realignment would be greater, the strain on the universe more profound. Your spirit is prepared, Elara. You have journeyed far, not just across space, but within yourself, shedding the layers of fear and expectation. Taking a deep, shaky breath, Elara felt a surge of resolve. She had always faced the unknown with an open heart. This was simply the ultimate unknown, the ultimate opening. She extended her hands fully, pressing her palms against the smooth, cool surface of the chronolumin core. As her skin made contact, a surge of energy, gentle yet potent, flowed into her. It wasn't just the core's energy, it was the entire universe's energy. She felt the distant hum of quasars, the slow burn of red giants, the cold embrace of interstellar voids. She felt the quiet growth of ancient trees on planets light years away, the joy of sentient beings discovering new stars, the ache of loss from civilizations long past. It was an overwhelming, beautiful cacophony, a symphony of existence playing out across billions of years, all channeled through her. Her vision blurred, not from tears, but from the sheer volume of sensory input. Colors exploded behind her eyelids, hues she had never seen, gradients that defied earthly physics. Sounds vibrated in her bones. Not just audio, but the pure waveform of creation, the subtle hum of reality itself. The core's presence enveloped her mind, guiding her through the torrent. Do not resist, Elara. Embrace. Feel the pattern. Understand the dissonance. Then from your core, project the harmony you carry within. The dissonance. Amidst the grand symphony, Elara began to perceive it, subtle fractures, discordant notes. It wasn't evil, but a lack of connection, a growing isolation. Worlds that had forgotten their cosmic neighbors, species that had turned inward, knowledge that had been hoarded rather than shared. These were the faint, almost imperceptible tears in the fabric the core spoke of, slowly but surely pulling apart the grand design. She saw entire star systems where the light of interconnectedness had dimmed, where vital knowledge was lost, and where the echoes of ancient wisdom were no longer heard. This wasn't an external enemy to fight, but an internal one to heal. The universe, like any living thing, needed care, needed remembrance of its fundamental unity. And Elara, for this fleeting, sacred moment, was its healer. She focused, drawing on every ounce of wonder, every shard of peace she had ever felt. She remembered the feeling of gazing at Earth's moon from her childhood window, the quiet awe of her first interstellar jump, the profound sense of belonging when she finally saw the hidden light. She gathered these feelings, these pure, unadulterated emotions, and let them coalesce within her. It was like tuning an instrument. She felt the universal vibrations, identified the off-key notes, and then, with a conscious act of will, began to sing. Not with her voice, but with her very being. She projected compassion, understanding, the absolute certainty of interconnectedness. She poured her pure, unselfish desire for harmony into the core, letting it flow through her like a river returning to its source. The light of the chronolumin core flared. It wasn't just a physical light. It was an emanation of pure, resonant energy that began to spread. First filling the cavern, then seeping through the rock, through the planet's crust, and then, in a breathtaking expansion, into the emptiness of space itself. Elara felt herself dissolve, not into nothingness, but into everything. Her consciousness expanded, becoming one with the light, one with the core, one with the universe. She was a single point of pure will, a tiny spark igniting a cosmic bonfire. She saw the wave of harmony ripple outwards, touching distant stars, embracing nebulae, whispering ancient truths to nascent civilizations. She felt the subtle shift as forgotten connections were rekindled, as isolated sparks found their way back to the universal flame. The dissonance receded, not vanquished, but gently absorbed, integrated back into the grand symphony. The frayed threads of reality began to reweave, shimmering with renewed strength and brilliance. It was a cosmic sigh of relief, a collective exhale from the very fabric of existence. Time lost all meaning. Elara didn't know if minutes or eons had passed. She existed in a state of pure being, a conduit for the universe's self-healing. And then, as gently as it had begun, the flow began to recede. Her consciousness, vast and expansive just moments before, began to contract, gathering back into the familiar confines of her own mind, her own body. She felt the cool surface of the core beneath her palms once more, the gentle pulse now a steady vibrant thrum. Her eyes fluttered open. The cavern still glowed, but the overwhelming cascade of information had subsided, replaced by a profound sense of quietude and clarity. She was back. And yet, she was profoundly changed. Her perception of reality was sharper, more nuanced. She could almost feel the interconnectedness of the dust motes dancing in the cavern air, the faint, distant hum of her ship orbiting above. The universe was no longer a collection of separate entities, but a single, vast, breathing organism. "It is done, Elara of Earth," the core resonated, its voice now softer, more subdued, yet filled with an undeniable sense of completion. "The realignment is complete. The heart of harmony has sung its song once more, and the echoes will resonate for an epoch to come." Elara slowly withdrew her hands, a faint tingling sensation lingering on her palms. What happens now?" she asked, her voice hoarse, a whisper in the newly harmonized silence. "I will rest now," the core communicated. "A long slumber, gathering the energy for the next cycle. My light will dim, my presence will fade, until the next moment of need, the next confluence, the next seeker with a pure heart." She looked at the crystalline sphere, its luminescence already beginning to soften, to recede deeper within its structure. The vibrant blues and golds were slowly giving way to a softer, pearlescent glow, like dawn fading into twilight. A pang of melancholy touched her. She had just connected with the most profound entity she could imagine, and now it was preparing to sleep. "Will anyone else know?" she wondered aloud. "About this? About you?" "Those who are ready will feel the lingering harmony," the core replied. "They will experience a renewed sense of purpose, a quiet stirring of connection. They may not understand the source, but they will feel its effect. And perhaps in the ages to come, others will seek as you did, and find me again." Elara nodded slowly. This wasn't a secret to be guarded, but a truth to be lived. Her journey had not ended with discovery, but with participation. She had become a part of the universe's grand design, a momentary conduit for its enduring harmony. She knew she couldn't stay. Her ship, her life, her own path beckoned. But she also knew she could never truly leave. A part of her would forever be intertwined with the chronolumin core, with the cosmic symphony she had helped to retune. With a final reverent glance at the gently fading light, Elara turned and began to retrace her steps. The path back through the shimmering cavern seemed brighter, the air crisper, the subtle energies of the alien world singing a new, clear melody. The bioluminescent fungi pulsed with a deeper, richer glow, as if responding to the recent realignment. As she emerged from the cavern and began the ascent back to the surface, the journey felt different. The rocky terrain, once a challenge, now seemed like a familiar friend. The wind that rustled past her felt like a gentle caress from the cosmos itself. She looked up at the alien sky, where 2 moons hung like watchful eyes, and the familiar spiral arm of her home galaxy stretched across the black velvet. But now, it wasn't just a beautiful vista. It was a living, breathing entity, one she had just helped to heal. Reaching her ship, the Stardust Wanderer felt like returning to a beloved home after an impossibly long journey. She stepped inside the airlock, the familiar hum of the life support systems a comforting sound. As the inner hatch sealed, she walked to the cockpit, sinking into her pilot's chair. She didn't immediately activate the engines. Instead, she just sat, gazing out at the planet below, at the faint, almost imperceptible glow emanating from its heart. She felt a profound sense of peace, a quiet joy that settled deep within her soul. The overwhelming sense of being exactly where she was meant to be had not faded. It had deepened, solidified into an unshakable truth. Her purpose, she realized, wasn't to merely discover, but to understand and then, through that understanding, to connect. She had connected with the heart of harmony, and in doing so, had connected more deeply with herself, and with all things. What would she tell others? The magnitude of her experience was beyond words, beyond conventional science. She couldn't simply announce she had retuned the cosmic resonance of a sector. They wouldn't understand, but she didn't need to. The impact of the realignment would be felt, subtly, across myriad worlds. Perhaps a new scientific discovery would emerge, an unexplained surge of creativity, a sudden global impulse towards peace. The universe would ripple with the echoes of her act, a silent symphony playing on. Elara smiled. Her journey as an explorer was far from over, but it had fundamentally transformed. She would continue to seek, to wander, to learn. But now, she carried a new kind of light within her. The quiet wisdom of the chronolumen core, the deep understanding of universal harmony. She was a silent guardian of that harmony, a living testament to the interconnectedness of all things. She activated the Stardust Wanderer's engines, a soft hum filling the cockpit. The ship lifted smoothly from the surface, climbing effortlessly into orbit. As she set a course for the next star system, a system she had been curious about for months, a gentle, knowing smile touched her lips. The universe was vast, full of unimaginable wonders and profound mysteries. And Elara, the quiet explorer, the seeker of hidden lights, was ready for whatever came next. She carried the universe within her, and she knew, with absolute certainty, that every journey, every connection, every act of wonder, was a note in the grand unending symphony of existence. And as the Stardust Wanderer accelerated into the stardusted night, leaving the harmonized planet behind, Elara closed her eyes for a moment, the image of the chronolumen core glowing softly in her mind, a beacon of peace, a promise of eternal harmony. She was home, not just in her ship, but in the heart of the universe itself. Her journey had truly begun, now imbued with a purpose far grander than she could have ever imagined. And as sleep began to gently pull at her, she drifted off, knowing she was a small, vital part of the universe's lullaby, a lullaby of starlight and infinite possibility.